Hey guys, welcome into the Out of Our Minds podcast. You just stepped into a freaking vortex. I'm gonna be honest, this episode is a trip. We're recording the intro after we just recorded the episode, and I literally felt like I was on like a psychedelic trip throughout that episode. We went into so many different
up, down, macro, micro, whole thing.
Yeah. So here's what you can expect from this episode. Definitely get your seatbelt on. And your tissue box, and then also like prepare to maybe take some notes and let it really hit you, because I have a feeling the energy of this episode is going to be one that really wakes you up. It's going to have like those moments of awakening for you. But we talk a lot about this really beautiful idea and knowing on how sacred our individuality is, and how you will never be the version that you are right now ever again. And that is where we were taking this episode, and that was a topic that we originally were diving into. But you'll see as you listen, this episode is a journey, and we eventually go into the topic of talking about the shifts that are happening in the earth with kind of the energetics of our role right now and tapping into these more coherent states. We go on a whole journey of tapping into the perfection that exists in this reality field. Honestly, I feel like I don't even want to like give it away. There's just so much. We talk about body, love, like self-love through understanding how your soul has chosen the vessel that it's chosen. There are definitely some emotional moments with that conversation. You're going to feel really freaking inspired. You're going to feel inspired to have this like sense of reverence and love for self. And you're also going to feel ramped the F up to just go live your truest version of you, like the most authentic life that you can live. So I'll leave it there. I don't know. Do you have anything else that you want to say? I feel like it was a journey, and I want to let it be a journey.
It was a journey, so enjoy it. Go stick around to the end, because it all comes together in a beautiful bow. And yeah, we're just so grateful that you're here wherever you're watching or listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video if this is on YouTube. We really appreciate it. And yeah, just buckle up and welcome to the world of Om if this is your first time. And if you're an OG Omi, we freaking love you. And we'll see you in the episode. So yesterday we had this incredible portal call. It was an individuation session, which is the type of session that I run in the portal program, which is our 6-month insane life altering, conscious altering journey that we do. And I had a particular flavor of message and teaching come through around individuation and what it means to be your true self, and what it even means to have a self and a you that you can identify with and play with. And we wanted to highlight and share what was coming through that session in a different way here on this episode, because it was incredibly moving to feel into the frequency and the truth behind the words I was sharing through this teaching. And in the portal version of this session, we did a journey with it to really feel into this, but it really has lit us both up in such a beautiful way. So we are sharing this perspective here with you. And I kind of want to just start by reading what initially came through yesterday. And then me and you were just meditating on it just now and crying as we do, and we're feeling into the beauty of this message. So I'll just read a little bit of this. And then I know Nikki was fully receiving the session, so you definitely had some pretty powerful revelations come through that I'm excited to hear about from you. So there is this revelation that comes with this work that we do on our self and our consciousness and our visions, our dreams. And in the Out of Our Minds world, we have a big focus on the self and understanding who you are, the know thyself sentiment, because as one begins to know themselves, they come to know the universe, they come to know others. It's really this whole as above, so below, as within, so without phenomenon. And that is why there's such a focus on self-discovery, because the more you discover that of within, you inevitably see it outside of you, which is just an incredible phenomenon to be tapped into. So this is the message that came through. This individuated self is temporary. This is a once in a billion years personality and individual self experience that you are getting to have. There will never again be a you like this exact one. This exact you was perfectly timed, perfectly ordered to be here right now. And what was coming through is just to realize that almost on like a scientific level of if you had to track how you got here and how it is even happening that you are having an awareness and a perspective and also a personality and a costume of a self that you get to wear, which at the end of the day is not really real, but is real in this illusion. Like you're meant to be experiencing a quote unquote self. But to think about what had to occur to get to this point, and I'm talking like on a literal cosmic level, alignments of planets, a storm timed at this moment, two people that lived across the globe met on this date, and then they broke up and they came back together, and then they conceived you on that exact date that led to you being born 9 months later under that moon, under that star, under that, like the literal divine perfection of how time and space lines move in order to create an event is not happening by accident. This is what you feel also when you go into studies around sacred geometry and certain mathematical equations that start to show you this harmonic way that the universe exists and that it's always creating. It's a creating universe all the time. And when you zoom out, you see that perfection. Michael Singer talks about this of like the crazy idea that you could control what is going on in the universe when the universe has been creating and will continue to do so, you know, long after this version of you is gone, quote unquote, gone. So what this all just came down to was realizing that you get to experience this reverence for your capital S self, because anything that is that perfectly timed, perfectly ordered means it is fucking precious. And it's only literally once, in the sense of the now moment that is fleeting, but also that your soul is eternal and this consciousness is eternal. But it's as simple as saying like there's literally not going to be another Bella Solonaut in this exact version. And saying that sentence, knowing what we know about the divinity of this universe, makes it hit completely differently than before. And I also feel that this came at a time where like me and you and this community is ready to understand what that means even more, because when you just run with this perspective and this truth, you feel this surge of energy in you and this gratitude. And then you naturally find yourself moving into action and play. And then that thing that's your vision is even more so divine and meant for you. So I would love to start to kind of riff on this, because it's one of those things to talk about in words that it doesn't even do it justice. But when you feel it,
yeah,
you're like, holy crap, there's only going to be one of me. And yeah, I have so much else to say in terms of how this connects in with like the sciences of a soul blueprint and what it means to discover oneself through the lens of things we talk about with Gene Keys and human design and yourself and your dreams, and how all of that is affirming this idea of how precious this you that you are is.
I don't know why when I hear you talk about this, I feel this like deep peace. And this is what I was feeling on the portal call yesterday. It is this stillness. And I know you had the intention yesterday of bringing in that stillness. And there were these moments throughout the call where you had us pause and just feel into the energy of what you're sharing. And it was like when you really took that time to like tap into that, I was feeling this vastness in the stillness and connecting in with the perfection of who we are as beings. And I just feel this deep peace. Like as I hear this, it just makes everything feel perfect as it is and okay. And I honestly want to just keep picking your brain with this because I feel like this is such a zone of genius that you have of thinking about the individuation of each aspect of consciousness and fractal of consciousness that we all are.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll share my perspective after and what was coming through as we were meditating. But like when you drop into that feeling and you think about this, are there like certain visuals that come to mind for you where you think about like the point of conception and like what comes through in this whole world when you're dropping into this?
Yeah, I'm literally getting emotional out of nowhere because I'll literally picture like as if you are doing a, 10x speed on a film strip, and I will see like nebula and like galaxies exploding, and then you like zoom into Earth and Earth is spinning fast because you're like speeding up this timeline, and you're seeing like whole seasons and cycles, and it's like you get a visual of like the ice age freezes the earth and then it melts, and then you like zoom into one moment, and that this is all happening among the perfection of the universe doing its entire thing. And then you zoom in and I see like my parents on their individual timelines and some mystical force that literally like how is it possible that they met in this bar at that time? And then something in my mom's gut was like, this is the man for me. And they go on a date, and then this and then that and then that. And I then see how I was born of that. Not just like my parents, but of the whole thing moving and in and out, up and down, off and on. And then I picture my own life. And so much of this has also really been accessed with the healing work that we've done with our mentor, Sarah, because the more and more that I access like revisiting younger parts of me or experiences, and I just keep applying that lens of divinity and that it just has this perfection to it, that then I see that like the consistent energy pulling all of that along is consciousness itself, and is like the creator of the universe, and how it's then like playing peekaboo, and it's like, oh, here it is as a Bella Solanaut, like, oh, here it is as a Nikki. And all of that is happening on this macro and micro scale. And I just literally relate to this solar system and this galaxy as this very elegant, moving life form. Mm-hmm. And that the tiniest little piece of it was planned. And it's just like those images. And yeah, I'll connect in to see the moment of conception and the light spark that takes place there, and the little kid that runs around and is just totally at one with its environment, and then goes through its forgetting. And yeah, it's just elegant, and is like, it's just crazy that we're here, like that we get to do this. And also then I'll just connect to like Earth and how special she is. Like, I cannot believe that this planet exists and that it's like green and blue and has this way of functioning. And we have this like illusion of a body, but it's also so real, and the soul came here to experience a body and experience like the show of Earth.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going because then I just think about people's gifts and the puzzle piece of how intelligent the like creator of it all is, and how it's placing like a Nikki on this timeline to have this gift and carry like these codes with her. Yeah, it's just magnificent. Like I just can't believe it that that's who we are as beings.
I feel like you're tapping into the, like when you're speaking, I'm literally imagining the energetic tapestry that exists if you were to see past the illusion, and the perfection of like the energetics I was imagining when you're talking about like your parents meeting. I was imagining the meeting of my parents and how like, just think about like, even you guys listening, like think about the perfect energetic attraction that took place to bring those two beings together. Even if they're not together now, think about the perfect energetic attraction in that moment and how that led to another fractal breaking off.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I just get emotional too because I'm thinking about how blind we are to the beauty of all of this and like the true perfection, like of it all. And then you think about that little kid that has its little quirky ways of being and the shadows that come out when you're a little bit older, and how even that is an expression of a frequency that creates harmony. And that's what is really hard to talk about, because when you're in the kind of perspective of seeing darkness, you're like, what the fuck? But then you zoom out and you see how that energy is interacting with consciousness in this way, and it's causing this to happen and that to happen. And it's like a literal perfect orchestra. And it is wild to apply that to your own self and to think about how perfect everything is. Like every moment of your life is perfect. Every moment of feeling like you're losing it is perfect. Every moment of bumping up against doubt or any sort of like dense energy, it is perfect. And I'm even looking at my rug right now and there's fractals in the rug, like with the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just literally, it's like reminding me of the beauty of this reality field when you zoom the fuck out and you see the divinity and the perfection of it all. Yeah, I'm just like, I honestly feel like I'm high right now. And yeah, what you're just saying, I'm like really feeling into the depth of it. This is kind of the experience I was having yesterday when you were guiding the session. It was just this total realization of the perfection of self, but also the perfection of like this reality field. And I'll drop more into that later, but I want to like continue on this thread that we're on.
Yeah.
Because you have really unlocked this perspective and knowing for me on where the self plays into all of this, and the combination of like being the observer and entering into that higher consciousness and being the awareness, but then using that awareness to come into your physical body and to play with life the way that it's meant to be played with. And when you talk about the beauty of earth and how incredible it is, that is when you elevate yourself. Like you literally ascend to this state of being where you realize that this is all play, and you're going to play with the reality field in a way where you're making magic and beauty and manifesting things into form from this frequency of love. And you literally feel like you're waking up and walking around on this like literal heaven in heaven on earth. And I'm getting visuals of just like all these different reality fields and all these different versions of earth. And when you align with your own love within, you get to literally align with a version of earth that is that. This is like what Luke was saying on the portal call. He's like, I walk around and I feel like everyone I bump into is just so nice and friendly. I go to the coffee shop. It's like, yeah, you're building a new fucking paradigm for yourself.
Yeah.
You live in the world of that harmony.
Yeah. And this is what I just am also seeing with such clarity these days, where for example, like something will happen and it will be reported in the news and on social media. And understandably, as we, I think, should to a degree, like you feel the emotions of that loss, grief, maybe you're angry, frustration, which I totally like. I think it's important, right? As a human being to feel that and process it. But I just can see so clearly that delineation and choice point of if you're going to then take that anger and project it outward onto the rest of the world and to make a story about like the state of humans based off of something that happens. And I just find more and more I'll feel myself almost like literally being dragged into a paradigm that wants to say, you know, oh, life is like this and this thing happens and people are effed up and da 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 da. And it doesn't feel good, first of all. It makes me feel fucking hopeless and sad. And I can track with my observational awareness, like I can literally feel the life force leaving my body. And I had this experience last week when there was a tragic human event that occurred. And I was at the airport, so I was like among a lot of people. So I could have easily started to look out at my fellow human beings and been like, God, like, this is crazy. The world is fucked. And I was like, why? Why does that have to be true? And I called my energy back and I took a moment to really breathe into my heart and to just breathe and soften and just let myself feel what I was feeling, to be confused, frustrated, all of it. And when I really gave that a moment, then I came back into my heart and I kind of asked a question of like, sometimes we'll ask, you know, what would like our mentor sort of say about this, right? Someone that if we can like put their perspective on and just try a different perspective and see how it feels, what would she say? And I was dropping into then the lens of understanding soul paths and that souls come here and they fully, with like free will, basically choose to go on a specific journey of a certain human life. And we can experience that and be like, oh my God, the fact that that happened means, and you can trail off into some like dark and dismal place. But I just was having a moment. I was like, why the fuck, if I know how this reality field works, where it is about my belief and me being also in a coherent state, honestly, most importantly, it's like disregard what version of belief and story I'm telling. Am I able to be in a coherent state? Meaning, is my heart and my mind and my body, is everything feeling at one? And then do I feel empowered to go and open my heart to others and to take action and to be who I am and to live in my mission? That is what I am prioritizing. And I just dropped into this perspective of honoring the soul path that this person took and chose. And instead of seeing him as like a victim to what happened to him, still feeling like the loss and the 3D human tragedy, but I was like, there is a beautiful thing happening here. And yeah, I just was like going off of what helped me drop into my mission even more. And that was it. That's all it came down to. I was like, am I going to play the game of then writing a story that constricts me and makes me not want to show up? Fuck no. I'm going to drop into my heart. And I just trust that that's the name of the game. That's what I know is, yeah, it's just that's it. It's just like, there's many perspectives you can choose. They're literally all valid. So just choose the one that drops you into your heart, into your mission. That's what I chose, was to be like, you know what? I honor the fact that souls know what they're doing here. They also know for the 3D little human self that things hurt and are painful. They go in and they know that. And that to me is very empowering and makes me feel at peace. It makes me feel what you're saying, where you're like, wow, everything's going to be okay. Yeah. And the last thing I'll add is I've been able to access this, I think, through a lot of like the subconscious work that we do is fucking life-changing, because it's crazy to be able to speak a sentence of gratitude toward a past traumatic event and to literally be like, I'm legitimately at baseline neutral, but actually grateful for what happened to me in high school or whatever it was that I developed a certain story. Like I look back on that and I'm like, thank you to my soul for guiding me through that. Thank you to my 3D self for going through that. And now I'm like, it's okay. Everything was okay. I was okay.
Yeah. That's a really beautiful perspective to have, that gratitude. I've been tapping into some awareness on just like coupled with what you were just talking about how when you can look back at past memories with gratitude of like, wow, there was a version of me that had some sort of limitation where there was not enough. I shouldn't say not enough. There was like an aspect of remembering I wasn't tapped into yet. And you can view that as like, oh, like this was an event that like broke me and made me believe this about myself. And now I'm a victim to this subconscious limitation. Or you can really see like the divinity of this experience on how even before you come into this realm and have the experiences that you have with parents or childhood experiences, you signed up. You signed up for that flavor of forgetting based off of the gifts that you were going to activate, based off of the specific fractal, the consciousness that you are. And this is something that has really liberated me because I feel like you can come into the healing space and there's this victim mentality of blaming parents, blaming childhood experiences, blaming people for like the subconscious limitations that you build. But from like what we're tapping into now is just like really expanding out and seeing the beauty of what you sign up for before coming into this earth realm. And you can start to hone in and see the archetypes that people choose to live through. I remember we were having that conversation about the whole Aubrey Marcus thing. And yeah, I think Sarah was like tapping us into, we were like talking about, she was just saying like, yeah, his archetype is clearly like a warrior archetype. Like he wants to fight things. He wants to, like, that's what he's going to attract into his life. Like that's going to be his reality field. And I was
saying all that from like an honoring perspective of like, that's that human experience. It's not like good up, down. Like that's the archetype of what they're living.
Yes. Yeah. And it's actually really beautiful when you see people that are doing it to like a fucking like they're tapped into their soul mission of whatever it is you do it, whatever it is they're doing, whether you agree with it or not, you can just see like blinders on fucking in it. And who are we to judge someone's mission with their soul and the path that they are on with what they're learning? And I know this can get a little uncomfortable to hear, but you start tapping into these like other archetypes of people who have signed up to be what one would call the villain. And then you see the catalyst that they are being and what they are tapping into as they stand as that role for other people. And
totally,
this is like, we're getting edgy here. Like we're getting edgy here.
No, I definitely know. Like, I just want to say, like, I know, I fully, and also I always just like say, we could change our minds about this and be like, oh, actually some different perspective. But I definitely get that hearing this, depending on any number of factors, like I get that this could come off in a certain way, and that's okay. Like it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But I definitely have experienced the same thing as you, where I just like to judge it off of, for myself, of almost, it's what state does it get me in at the end of the day? Because that's kind of, for me, is like, is this eliciting a feeling of peace, empowerment, calm, trust?
Because that's
like,
truth.
That
is aligning with truth.
Yes.
Anything that takes you out of that, there's more love that gets to come in. That's like what I'm really learning. And I'm saying that from a place where I have my areas of life where I'm still obviously practicing this. I'm still here in the 3D. Clearly, I'm not this enlightened being that's just walking around like a fucking love bubble all day. But like, that's the journey. That is what was coming through for me when we just did that meditation. I literally wrote, love is the only answer. The only answer is love. Love is what connects all of us. And I was just seeing how anytime you are viewing something as separate or bad or evil or blah, 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 there's more there's more light. There's some sort of, like, I keep getting this visual of a filter. Like, I don't know if you own one of these, but when you're cooking something that's a little bit greasy in a pan, you can put one of those screens on top of it, like a filter. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but
I keep having the visual of that because it's circular, and it's like, I keep imagining that like floating over people's head, where your soul chooses to have a certain filtering system to allow you to have a physical experience of something.
Totally.
And you will have like the blinders on and be like, this feels good, this is it, for the divine reason of your soul expansion, until you get to a point where there's moments in life where that filtering system starts to actually be a disservice to you. And this is why the healing work that we do with the subconscious and the perspective that Sarah teaches, that it's so beautiful, with like seeing the positive things that you have gained by having that limitation before you let go of it, is so beautiful, because there's a reason you fucking had it. You didn't just choose to have that limitation so that you could suffer. You chose so that you can experience contrast. You could build this maybe like a resilience to you. And there's just perfection in all of it. And this is a pretty empowering perspective to have on life, because then you realize, I was listening to the Peter Crone, Melissa Wood episode yesterday, which if you guys have not listened to that episode, I don't know if you guys are into Melissa Wood health. She's like an online Pilates teacher, but she's also very vulnerable and authentic with the way that she shares her personal journey and her spiritual journey. And she has a podcast. Yesterday, she released an episode with Peter Crone, who is the mind architect, who is also very specialized in the subconscious. He actually was our mentor's mentor, and he's just very, very gifted at what he does. And I'm always so intrigued by listening to him and what it is that he shares. But Melissa is just so authentic and real with the way that she shares her journey. She's like, what if you just want to like cut out toxic people from your life? And it was just really beautiful, because she was just being raw and real and like messy. And she's a Sag and has this like fiery side to her where you're just like, you can really relate to just like, I don't know, it gives like little kid just wanting to be like rebellious. But Peter just gave like such a beautiful in-depth answer, and like leaving room for the humanity of it, but also giving this like really beautiful perspective on how, when you choose to take responsibility for every single thing in your life, and you take away any possibility of making yourself a victim to this parent or this thing that happened, that is when you have freedom. That is when you have access to freedom. And I feel like the conversation we're tapping into is just maybe taking a turn, and we can turn it back to where we started. But I want to add in what's coming through here is like, when you start to see the perfection of everything in this reality field, you start to access a level of freedom that gives you power to create.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this was fitting to come through, because part of what you're here to do as this individuated self is to play with putting on different perspectives. Like, that's the whole game.
Yes.
So go and try the perspective on that we're talking about. Go and try a different one. And then you're going to net out at the one that is most authentic to you. And you're meant to be there. Like we're saying, there's literally different archetypes of people that come down to earth and that are here to play different roles. And I think you can also literally hold it all. I just always like to say that, because yes, you can still have preferences. You can still say, that's not great. Would love it if less humans experience that. But then you can also, I find that you can discern all of that a lot easier when you are able to honor the divinity of things, rather than trying to do it from a feels like a more constricted state of like, this isn't good and that shouldn't be happening. It's like, okay, melt that for a second, come over here, and then come back over and have your preferences and choose how you want to engage with reality. Choose who you want to, like, great. That's what we're literally here to do. You're here to have an individuated experience through your lens and through your perspective. And yeah, I just think you can have it all exist at once, and you can always go back to the other perspective. Like this is
Yeah.
it's a game. Like we're just choosing, and we're also all sharing right now on Earth a collected experience. Like we all agreed to this. That's why this is existing. So this is a place of perceived duality, and I think what's happening now is people are exploring. This is very much what's happening now. Earth is experiencing like almost different groups of people and a split essentially of different perspectives and consciousness expressions to see what happens. And you're always going to have evidence for the perspective that you hold deep down. So that's just what it comes down to, is choose and play with the one that you want, and then also just honor other people's. That's the big thing that has shifted for me recently, is being able to truly honor what I perceive as a villain, as a this, a that. It's not easy to do at first. And then to me right now, it's feeling quite natural. So I'm rolling with it, but who knows?
I think something that's coming through to share is I get this like pretty clear visual of all these different earths splitting. And then you start thinking about, like when I talk about this, I always get those few comments on my page, on my videos, of people being like, yeah, but what about this? What about that?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to understand that when there's groups of people that are acting out of shadows and darkness, that energy can only be sustained with more darkness. And I think the confusing part that the mind doesn't understand is that when you stop feeding something, it actually loses its power to even stay, because darkness cannot sustain in the face of light.
Right.
So if you imagine our energy and our consciousness as this like powerful, like the building blocks, where if there were like powers that be that wanted to build up this whole world that was for their own good, whatever the fuck, utilizing your consciousness would mean bringing you into the ego, where you're dropped into a certain frequency that builds that reality field for them. So when you think about serving people that are being hurt in those reality fields, what kind of energy would help diffuse that reality field and actually draw it up into the new version of Earth that you are wanting to be on? And if you are someone who's like, okay, I actually do want to help, but you want to help by also being in your own energy in your reality field, you can start to imagine how I get this visual of like balloons, like where you pop a balloon and the air slowly comes out of it. The way that we want to pop these reality fields and let the air kind of come out of it is by not fueling them with our consciousness and that frequency and that energy that actually sustains it. So more shadow will create more shadow. But think about like if you're in a classroom and there's like a group of kids and there's this one like bully in the corner that like keeps bullying a bunch of kids. And then you got all the kids around them, that one kid being like, fuck you, what are you doing? You're bullying the kid. And then he's like, fuck you. And then it's like, there's this vortex of just like darkness and people forgetting. And then you have one kid in the corner that just starts to, let's say, like meditate or play with his blocks. And when you think about energetics and coherence, what will start to happen is that people wake up.
Yeah.
Because the darkness cannot exist in the face of light. And the way that you start allowing that energy to really activate the group of kids that are maybe like over there fighting the bully, and then they're retaliating, and then all this. But then there's this like poor kid in the corner, and he's like, oh, but wait, he needs help. It's like, wait, okay, maybe there are some souls who are actually there to be the light in that experience that elevates him up to a level of remembering, where he then is removed from that, like even being like an energetic match to that experience. I know I'm getting like real energetic here, but I'm just painting this beautiful picture on how you choose the way you want to serve. And sometimes you can choose to be the being that's like in the situation and choosing to like bring light there. Or you could like be the kid in the corner that's bringing light to the entire room where one kid comes over and then another kid comes over. And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to share that because there's a really beautiful understanding of like the energetics and the consciousness of that, where you just start to see like what's really important here. And I've been sharing a big message just across my YouTube and honestly like with my mom, and I'm having her share it with people that are in her community, just about what happens when you're fueling reality fields with that consciousness. And I know that I've seen myself kind of have to like dip down to like spread that message, and now I'm like, okay, now I'm good coming back over here and it feels complete.
Yeah. It's all related because, to circle it back to the beginning of this conversation, if you want to be experiencing more harmony on this planet, in this universe, the easiest thing you can do, and also the most effective thing, is to just be who you are as you were created to be. Because that is literally an act of love, is to be as you are, to explore yourself, explore your dream, explore your shadows, all of it, because you were created as an expression of the harmony that already exists. And this is why that episode we did on heart coherence and how it changes the frequency of the planet. I was talking about this, a different study also on the portal session yesterday about the water crystalline structure studies that they do with different types of eggs. Look up Veda Austin or Dr. Emoto. It's there. It is all there. It is all there, and it's pointing in the direction of the fact that honoring yourself honors the creator, and it honors all other people, and is the answer. You're looking for an answer on what to do and how to save the earth, which is not actually a real thing, but you know what I mean? Be your fucking self and do your vision and do your dream and be as you are, because that coherence is felt and is tracked by the objects around you, the people around you, your city, the earth. God tracks it, and that's what matters. And I feel myself in this moment being like, you know, I think it's good sometimes to make those caveats and think about like the other perspective, but we're in a perspective choosing reality. This is the one I'm choosing now, and that's it. And it fucking feels good and it fires me up. So
what do you think it means to be yourself?
Right now, I think it means to align your experiences of all kinds with the natural forces of life and the universe. Being yourself is being like the source, which means you are flowing and you are creating always, and you're connected to all things. So you are carried through life. Yeah, I think it's essentially you're doing your best to emulate God. I don't know how to pin it down into one thing because so many tracks kind of open up in my mind. But yeah, being yourself is being, you're honoring the creator and you're aligning with the one in your way.
And when you do that, what does that feel like?
Everything. Like in the lifespan, you feel everything. You're going to feel peace, joy, sadness, up, down, squiggles, sideways. Like you will experience the spectrum of consciousness of life because it's inside of every cell of you. So, but at the end of the day, I think that's just, you would look back and you would just see love as the container holding the whole experience. It's like when people die, they say you'll get like a split second like recap of your whole life. That's why some people think apparently that like hell is like this like burning inferno, because depending on how like the events of your life, it's like you feel it all at once, all the emotions, all the ups and downs. What some people say after near death experiences, I guess. So I think that's why you feel it all, because you're just here. You're meant to explore and experience the entire spectrum of consciousness. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
I guess we're not meant to.
Yeah, it's really hard to answer, but obviously it's like you just think, what does it mean to be yourself? Well, you have to like keep going back through the layers. It's like, well, what is a self? What is a human? What is consciousness? Why is consciousness a thing? Like you just keep going through the layers, but yeah, as close as I can get is just some form of alignment with natural forces of creating.
Yeah. I also feel like that's the key to just everything in life. Literally everything just improves.
Yeah. What comes through for you with that?
I mean, I'll share more of what was coming through yesterday with the session. I was having this wild experience after the drop-in where I opened my eyes, and I was explaining this on the call, but I'll explain it again. Like when you have a VR set on and you're looking at your avatar, so you lift up your hands, but then through the VR set, you're looking at your avatar's hands.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I honestly still kind of feel like. It's still like remnants from yesterday. I feel like this is also just because I've been in such a elevated state. I feel like I'm in one of those chapters right now where I'm like hitting a high where I'm like very, very conscious and aware of things. You know, how you have those waves in life. I feel like I'm on one of those like high waves. And I, first of all, just want to add, I feel like it's because I'm creating. Like, I feel like that happens when you just make shit.
Yeah.
It's like a catalyst.
That's you're aligning with, like, this is the whole thing right now is creating.
Yeah.
It's a creating universe. In the Walter Russell book called The Universal One, he's defining creation. He's like, this isn't a created universe. It's a creating one. It's like doing it all the time.
Yeah.
Which I think is why there's very much something to the creative act, and people who are creating and tapping in and turning visions into form, like you are literally being God.
Yeah. Wow. And when you're aware of the process, that's like when it's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm tapping into that alignment in a way that I've always been feeling called to, and it's making me feel very connected to my soul. So when I got out of that drop-in and I looked at my hands, and you were guiding us to just feel the perfection of like, you were just guiding us to feel like the beauty of being the you that you are, and how that's a once in a lifetime experience. And I'm just having this wild experience of like looking at my hands and my body and being like, this is not me, but it is me. And both of them feel just as right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's like really beautiful, and it just brings up so much emotion in me to feel the divinity of our souls choosing these bodies, like the vessels that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad. It makes me sad to think about like all of the years that I spent hating my body. And when you think about what we're talking about with like the divinity of our souls choosing, I get this visual of our souls like experiencing our ego's self not liking the body that we chose, and going through those chapters of like fighting it. And the soul being like, oh, I thought you would have loved this one.
Oh.
And I really do believe that our souls get to express themselves through our physical bodies. And the more you connect in with that duality of knowing that, like, this is not even you, but it is you. And you get to connect and remember that you are the soul and the beautiful eternal energy, the consciousness. And then you see it like click into this vessel, but that's not even actually how it works. It's more of like projections and energies and auras and all that. And you just see the relationship that wants to happen between the soul and the body as this cohesive, beautiful, like, yeah, it's like I'm just seeing like yin yang, like feminine and masculine energies creating this beautiful vortex that allows the projection of your body to be an expression of that soul essence. And the more you surrender into that process, the more the soul gets to have fun experiencing like the 3D body as something so beautiful and so unique and perfect. And it's just so wild to think about, like, our minds become so brainwashed with all of this shit we see of like Hollywood and, oh, this is in style, and now this is in style, and now we want a fat butt, and now we want skinny, and now we want this. And it's just so wild that our souls chose these unique, beautiful expressions of self, but yet we're over here being like, fuck that, I'm gonna change that. And
Yeah.
it's a journey that I've been on of like really learning how to just fully love who I am right now in this moment. And I feel like these discussions just make everything feel so silly. It feels silly
Yeah.
to like
I know.
to hate your physical vessel. But not in like a shame way, just like
Yeah.
what are we
No,
doing here?
it's-
Like
Yeah. Well, I think that's where I just relate so much, and I know I haven't shared yet and probably will at some future date about just the like similar transformation and healing moment I had around my own body and relationship with food and all the things. But yeah, I think that's why you can look at those past selves in the ego and literally giggle about it because it's so silly, and it's cute though, because it's like, that's like the game of this place that's
right.
trippy and weird. And yeah, this is where now the concept of moving your body and nourishing yourself and sleep, it's all an act of love. It's not like trying to change the form. It's being like, wow, thank you for this form.
Yeah.
And then you get to take care of it in whatever way you want. And that's what we see happens is when love is infused into the actions related to the body like finds its groove and its shape and its form, but it's like irrelevant what it looks like because it's not the point. It's how it feels to be in the body. So it's a whole different level of gratitude. And even I can see gratitude for if, the symptoms that we have and understanding like this body is that intelligent that it even, the body itself is a vessel of self-expression. Like think about when you look at symptoms and quote unquote sickness through this lens, it's like, oh, the body is a form of expression and is speaking to you.
Mm.
And that, then you're like, oh, this is an act of love. Let me care and nurture and listen to you. What are you asking of me? It was like that wild healing transformation someone else had in the portal program where they realized they're their own healer. She was like, oh, like I'm not my symptoms. I don't have to identify with this diagnosis. The doctor is telling me I am a healer. Like I get to love my body and watch it heal as a result. And that there's nothing wrong with it anyway. Yeah, that was just really, I feel like one of the biggest takeaways of all of this is now all of these things that we talk about so much, you get to anchor into another level of it being an act of love. Your vision, your desires, your dreams, it's an act of love. It's all a reverence to being like, thank you. The fact that I'm here and I'm breathing and I'm conscious and I'm living this life path. Thank you. It just is a very easy way. This is why the life force just gets fucking moving in you.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking precious. It's so precious.
And
that's how I feel. Yeah, go ahead. I'm good.
I was going to say, I have a few more things to say about the fleeting nature of like who we are in this moment. When we were doing the meditation, we were obviously meditating on like this beautiful topic of like, wow, like we'll never be this version of us ever again. And I started thinking about how like, okay, yes, we'll never be this version of us in this lifetime, never again, ever again, but you will not be the you that you are now, this second, and then this second, and then this second, ever again.
Yeah.
And I sense that so much of the suffering that we experience as humans comes from not understanding the fleeting nature of who we truly are.
Yeah.
And when you understand that every single second you are changing and you have the option to literally be whoever the F that you want to be in this moment and then this moment and then this moment, and you're connecting in more with that like fleeting nature of who we are, life just feels like you let go of a grip.
Yeah.
And even when you're thinking about healing, whether it be physical or spiritual, you just realize how easy it gets to be. And you loosen the grip on this like tight hold of an identity and the stories of like, this person did this to me and oh, this person messed me up and they did this to me when I was a child and this and that. And it's like, when you realize that like we're just gripping to past versions of self that literally don't even exist in this now moment.
Right. Yeah.
It's fucking wild. And that is,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm like really deepening my silent meditation practices these days. And I'm finding that, I got the call from like I literally received a message from my ring, bitch, answer from my guides being like, simplify your approach. And I just started to really lean into my silent meditation practice. And I'm just creating so much distance from this like illusion of self. And it's answering so many of my questions and it's allowing things to just be so effortless and easy. And what I wrote down was just to allow yourself to, one, identify with this individuated piece of consciousness that you are and see the gifts and all the beautiful things that make you you, but also start to just release this grip on the idea that you are this human that is solid, that is the same being that woke up yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have literally transformed and evolved so much that is not the same version of you. And it makes life so much easier because then when you have an idea come to you, you don't have to carry all the baggage of like what you thought was going to be possible for you or the things that you have to like energetically prepare for because you're fearing what's going to happen. And this is really fresh on my mind from watching the Peter Crone, Melissa Wood episode, where I was just seeing so clearly this in like a new light from his perspective. he was just saying, he has these like one line quotes that he always says, and I'm not remembering the exact words, but one of the quotes that he had was pretty much very bluntly sharing that people will take their experiences that they had in the past and then hold on to the fears of that happening again and then project those fears out into their future, therefore creating that state of being and kind of drawing in those experiences until they realize they're just literally taking past and projecting it onto the future. And when you tune into just the fleeting nature of who we are as humans and the way that we evolve and shift, and you connect in with that consciousness that is always expanding and changing and shifting, it's so funny. Like, it's so funny to think about, like, why are we going to sit here and protect ourselves from something that there's no reason to think that that would happen right now, besides if you want it to.
Yeah. It's like when you, this combined with when you hear like Deepak Chopra explain reality, and he's like, none of this is happening actually. Like, it's all like on off, like wave particle duality, and it exists and then it goes away. And it's like, you compare that with this idea of, then Peter Crumb will say, like, you know, if I, it's kind of graphic, but if I like cut you open and looked for like a manufacturing label that said like this belief you have, you'd be like, obviously not, it's not there.
Right.
And it's just realizing the mental nature in a way of literally the memory that you have is just playing as a memory, like on a fake movie screen in your mind and in your body. And then you're projecting it out into the future. Is that exactly what you just said? And the freedom that comes from that revelation and tying it all together, and then come back to the 3D and play with this weird, strange, fake, but also real reality. Like, man, it's just, it's wild. This is why I just love that this podcast talks about all these things, because people get all of the angles of like the science of it, the spirit science, the stories, the analogies, the subconscious realm, the individuated self, the vision. And we're just remembering what this actually all is, so then we can go back in and play.
I'm also realizing why it is we heal through the creative act. The creative act in and of itself has this nature to it where you are always in that kind of, I don't want to use the word war or battle, but it feels like you're kind of with the ego for a little bit.
Yeah.
And in that dance, that's the word I'll use. You're in a dance with the ego. Every creative act will bring you into a dance with the ego, where you must get to a place of surrendering, of letting go. And in the creative act, you then become the channel for inspiration, ideas, whatever it is that's flowing through you. But the artists have become masters of learning how to disconnect from those thoughts and the stories that feel so real, that are from the past, that make you think that you're this being that's going to experience this. You literally learn, you become like a master at learning how to create that distance and open up the channel. And what I'm finding with this challenge that I've been doing with my own creative act is that overflows into your life, where it's not just when I'm in front of the camera and all of a sudden these thoughts come up and I have to hit record, start over, hit record. And I'm like, okay, let's just take a beat. Let's just be with this for a second. That overflows into my life, where I'm noticing I am literally like healing beliefs and like tapping into this higher awareness around these stories that are coming up. And I'm entering into this like connected state of being, like with my essence, my soul. And that is the healing mechanism of the creative act. And yeah, it's pretty fucking wild. That saying is like, as you make the creations will make you, or whatever it is. That is so true and so real. And it happens. And yeah, There's so much coming through now on this whole like
I know.
creative
We're like,
act.
I did not know that this conversation was going to turn into the rabbit hole, but wow. I'm just picturing someone having an awakening moment where you're literally like sitting where you are. And if I asked you, it's like, well, I'm afraid that this is going to happen and this and that. And because this thing happened in the past. And if I had to be like, point to me right now, where's like, what are you talking about? If they're referencing like a memory, they'd be like, where is that? Where does that live? Well, it happened over. No. Where are you right now perceiving that memory?
Yeah.
In fucking here and in physical sensations in your body. That is literally the only place that it actually exists. Your POV is not actually at the high school. It's right here.
Yeah.
And that is all you have to know to be like, oh, that's right. I can just observe this, honor it, have an alchemical process, shift it, and all of a sudden decide a new reality gets to play out from this moment right here.
It's like what Peter Crone says. Is it life-threatening or ego-threatening? Sometimes it is life-threatening, but most times it's ego-threatening. This is what he was talking about on the podcast. It was really powerful to hear him talk about this because that's exactly what you're saying, is that in that moment, you have to let your ego die. You have to just continuously have ego deaths because our ego is this mental construct that literally only survives based off of content. This is Eckhart Tolle's teachings. The content of life, this story, this thing, let me grab this. Okay, this is my identity. The ego sustains through the collection of that content. There's the structure and then there's the content that is within. When you start dismantling that content, like the stories of what you just tapped into, where you have to choose to let go of that, the ego literally thinks it's dying because it is. It is. And to be in a state where you can be okay with letting that part of you die, that is like true creation. That's like a creator being that's creating from heart and soul. And sometimes we create out of ego just to be able to experience that. Like I've had moments of that too over the past few days where I'm like, let me just experience this and let it be okay to experience this and get to know like what felt right, what didn't feel right. Yeah. I feel like we're going into a whole other episode on the creative act now. I'm just realizing like the depth of what we're tapping into with everything we're going to continue to create, the offerings that we're going to put out for the creators, the visionaries. Like this is all fucking hitting new levels.
Yeah. Things are really coming together and tying together. You know what? It makes so much sense. I think this 9-year numerology situation, like we literally are closing a cycle. And because of that, we're putting the last bricks on the foundation that we're about to stand on for next year that starts our next 9-year cycle.
Yes.
So it's just wild. I'm like, this is why we're in the conversations we're having. We're like, bing, 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 and this and that and that, because it's all coming together and we're able to see the connection of it all because of the journey our consciousness has been on.
Right. It's like we're closing certain things. Like that's what I feel like when we have the conversations that feel a little bit like, okay, it's like closing that, solidifying it, stepping into this. Yeah, it definitely does feel like, okay, we're on solid grounds now.
Yeah.
Wild.
So yeah, if you guys are feeling inspired by the creator conversation too, we did a bit of a mini series. I think it's 3 or 4 episodes on all things creator consciousness, starting with
I think 112.
Yes, correct. Starting at episode 112, we really start to deep dive into creator consciousness. So definitely check those episodes out. And yeah, also make sure you check out our bonus content that we have through our membership. We do an exclusive bonus podcast called Off Record, and we also do a once a month live stream every single month where you guys get to come and participate by bringing your questions and your comments in the chat box, and you get a real feel for the community, the Outer Minds community. It's really freaking cool. So make sure you check that out. All of that will be in the description. And special shout out to Nikki's YouTube channel that has amazing gems all over it. By the time this podcast comes out, there's going to be like 14 more videos that exist.
Literally. Thank
So
you.
make sure you check that out. And yeah, by that time, I think you'll see both of us are producing and creating more for our YouTube channel. So lots of good stuff happening there. And yeah, we love you so much. As always, reach out, send us a DM or comment below this episode if you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube. And that's it.
Thanks for coming on the ride.